What?
You mentioned you were up at Snowbird.
Are we starting?
I thought we were already going.
Oh, I didn't. Because I have music running right now, so I need to turn off the music. Hold on. All right.
I mean, okay, wait, so we haven't started then.
The joke is, when you go to a place and you rent a car and act like you stole it, because if you get renter's insurance, then it doesn't really matter. I don't know if that's true. Is that true? Like, if you pay the extra renter's insurance when you rent a car from Enterprise or Hertz,
it's not that simple.
Because like everyone makes it seem so simple. Oh, it's fine. You can crash it into the wall, and you paid insurance, so it's totally cool. I'm like, yeah, but what's the deductible? Isn't there one? No, I don't know. Like, no one knows. No one seems to know. No one has gone far enough. I haven't even gone far enough in figuring out what the like any research with that, and it's
right.
I just because there are certain people that apparently, after watching them how they drive in GTA, and then they say, well, this is kind of how I drive in real life. I say, well, if I'm ever gonna visit you, I'm not gonna be in your car. How are you still alive?
I've watched you drive. I've watched how you go through lights and stuff. That's terrifying.
I've watched you run over 12 people just because you were bored.
Oh, gee.
Although that was me the other night after I spun the wheel at the casino, but that's a different story. So I've been watching a lot of Criminal Minds. And
what's that?
It is a television show. It is a crime drama, if you will. It's basically about the team at the FBI in a specific subset of the FBI called the BAU, the Behavioral Analysis Unit. So to solve crimes, they don't look at physical evidence. They look at the behavior of sociopaths, psychopaths, pedophiles. Like, why do those certain people do certain things? And then because of that, they can put evidence together. They can put together a profile to say, okay, well, we're going to have all this stuff that basically makes up the vagueness of a person. And then the rest of the police squad or whomever it is needs to go out and find who best matches this person based off of the behavioral profile.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And because of this, I have decided to go murder people. No, because of this, I came up with this question: if a murderer loses his or her memory, like completely loses his memory, like there was no way that this person was faking it.
Okay.
Should they still be held accountable for their actions?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. Oh, that's... Oh, man. That's tough,
right? That's
like,
not
my initial reaction is yes.
So was mine.
But then it's like, well, that's not... Like, because they could get their memory back.
That's true. That's true. They could get their memory back. And then the other thought that Aurelia came up with was, a drunk driver who doesn't necessarily remember the act of running somebody over.
Right.
They still were responsible enough in sound of mind that got them into the car. So
right.
Yeah. So it's pretty much like vehicular manslaughter at that point, but not first degree murder. And so if somebody was accused of murder, completely had onset amnesia, could not even remember their own name, and through brain scans and other tests, it was proved that this person was truly telling the truth and they were a completely different person, it's hard to say. Like, it would be easy just to throw the book at them, but at the same time, this is a completely different person. This is somebody that...
But they could revert. That's the issue.
Yeah, right?
No, I would say maybe give them like a more... Not a lax sentence by any means, but maybe something like what are they, like a rehab center where it's like they can't leave. They are in prison, but they're not in like a jail cell. They have like a room and stuff where it's like, hey, you're stuck here. You have to be here because of actions that you've done. But we also recognize that you're kind of in a situation where you don't remember those actions. So we're kind of trying to make a compromise here.
Yeah. So like,
but you still did the thing.
So your solution would be to still punish them, like not give them their complete freedom, but also not give them the hardest sentence possible.
Right.
Which originally would have been maybe death row, depending on what state and what the severity of the murder was and all that other stuff. Yeah. I kind of agree with that. Like, I don't feel like it would completely be fair to, put them in maximum security prison. But at the same time, it's also not fair to us outside the justice system to see that, Like if somebody had murdered my parents and they said, I have amnesia, all the doctors said, yes, they have amnesia, there's nothing that we can do, so we're going to set him free because he's a totally different guy. Last week he was Joe, today he's Ted. Like that, I would not be. I wouldn't have faith at all in the justice system whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And so I think putting them in minimum security, or whatever thing that you're cooking up makes complete sense. But it's still tough. It's a toughie.
No, it's really hard because like the more you think about it, you're like, well, what about? And then
I mean, like what? Okay, so again, because we're doing the whole hypothetical here, I think we can all agree Hitler was a bad dude. But what if he lived and because of all the bombs and everything in the bunker, he got amnesia and he came out. And, at the time, 1945, they were able to figure out, okay, he really does have amnesia. I'm sure they would have executed him. Wouldn't they have? I don't know. Would we have done that? I think
so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So would that be like acceptable because of all the things that he had done up until that point?
Well, think about this. Like, honestly, like, think about someone that comes to you and says, hey, I know you don't remember this, but this is the person you are. And imagine being described like, hey, you're Hitler. Like, you caused the deaths of millions of people.
Or Pol Pot, yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then you're just sitting there and you're like, I was having a ham and cheese sandwich. I don't understand. What do you mean I killed all these people? When did I have time for this?
Yeah. No, I think you'd almost be like, yeah, please get rid of me. If you woke up and found out, hey, you've killed millions of people and here's video of you like encouraging this behavior and stuff.
That's actually not a bad point because I feel like if somebody were truly like, what's the adjective of amnesia? Amnesiac? If someone truly had amnesia, I guess there's no adjective. If someone truly had amnesia and you said you did all these bad things and they were like at a loss, I feel like human need to know who and what they are would surpass the need to I don't know, like I don't know if the fight or flight would be instated in that. I feel like people would say, okay, I really want to know, did I do these things? Like, can you prove I did these things? I feel like most people would say that. I'm sure there'd be a sliver of people like, I don't even want to know. I don't care who I was. All I know is I am what I am now, and I'm going to move forward. However, I might kill people, yeah, and that actually might just be my genetic makeup and my nature, or not. I don't know, but I don't care. And I think your solution of putting them in like minimum security probably is the best balance that we could possibly get out of this crazy made-up situation.
Right. No, it's actually funny you asked that, because it's actually a scenario that me and my Destiny team has been thinking about, because there's this there's two characters, Uldren and Cade, and Cade was a very well-known character. He was like one of the three leaders of the game. Like, there's three main leaders, and they all work together. And Uldren killed Cade. Right. Like, cold blood, like, just murdered him. Okay. And sad times. Yeah, very sad. Everybody loved Cade. It genuinely sucked. And then we murdered Uldren. Hooray! And now if you guys didn't know, we, like, in Destiny, you come back as a guardian. You were alive as a normal human, then died, and then were resurrected. We won't go into like the details of how or why, but you're chosen to be resurrected as a guardian, and you are to defend Earth and be guardian and do guardian things. Cool, right? So Uldren, after you murdered him, gets resurrected as a guardian. Now, here's the thing, is when you're resurrected, you have no memory of your past life at all. This isn't like an amnesia thing. This is like you are a different person. Right. But you're still you. Like, everyone and their dog is going to recognize you. Well, are in the game, obviously the physical characteristics of the character are still going to be the same. Right. What about their mannerisms? As far as I know, no. That you're resurrected. You're who you are now, not who you are then. So, but it's that scenario that you're talking about that we've been thinking about, because it's like Uldren killed Cade, but I freaking hate the guy. That's not Uldren. Yeah, right. It's not. It's like his not the evil twin. He's the good twin. Yeah. He's the good twin, and everyone's like, that's genuinely been torn. A thought for us for a while of like, so that's gonna be fun. Well, hi, you killed my best friend. Well, I didn't, but the other guy did. Yeah, right. Like, before you stab me, hold on. I didn't. That was the other guy, and I don't know him whatsoever. I've seen the memes. I'd like to reiterate and like to make sure you hear very clearly, I didn't. I thought Aurelia made a really not a good point, but I felt it was very forward thinking, which is to say, when I asked this question to her, and I don't think I posed it in the sense of murder. But I asked her the question, if somebody did you wrong in high school and then you somehow ran into them again and they don't remember you from high school at all, and it's not because they thought they don't remember, not quote unquote not cool people, it's because they have this amnesia thing that we're talking about. Would you forgive them, and would you forget about what they did? Because this is arguably a completely different person. And Aurelia, instead of saying, no, screw that, he put me through hell, or she put me through hell, or whatever, she said, forgiveness is earned. So I would not completely, exile them from my life. I wouldn't banish them from my life. If they had to be in my life for some reason, I was working with them and I had to work alongside them on a daily basis, fine.
but they have to earn my respect back. They have to earn my admiration back. They have to earn my forgiveness. And I thought that was very forward thinking. And most people, I don't think, have the fortitude to be able to look in the eyes of the person that gave them so much crap and remember that was a different person. This is a different person from the one back in high school.
Right.
And I think most people, and we see it today, right? We see it today. We see things that people are pulling old tweets from like 10, 15 years ago. Oh my God, look what you did 13 years ago. I'm like, dude, I was a different person. I've grown since then. Nope, you can't grow. How dare you? You can't grow. I'm gonna call you out for the things that you did 13 years ago. Yes, but I was a different person back then. Nope, don't care. Like people want to believe that they themselves can grow, but don't want to believe other people can grow. And it irks me to no end.
Nope, that's actually something that we were talking about, because there's a company in Utah called, I want to say it's Banjo.
Do they sell ukuleles?
No, it's about using algorithms to watch social media and find where, like, a shooting is happening, or something something along those lines. I don't know the details, but now this all could be wrong, so I'm gonna preface this, but I think the CEO is a former KKK member. And like he was called out for it like semi recently. People are like, we don't want to use your product. You're a racist. And he's like, look, I did he actually came forward and was like, look, I did some terrible things. Like I think he like did a drive-by shooting of like a synagogue or something like that. Again, not 100% sure. This all could be wrong, but yeah, he's like, look, I did some terrible things, and I'm trying to make amends for it by doing the right thing now. And I'm like, yeah, damn right. Like, don't hold him over the coals for, like, yeah, he's you want to talk about people need to change. Like, he's trying. Don't slow him down.
Right. Yeah, Banjo, a synthetic intelligence agency that worked with the police, used a shadow firm to create an array of Android and iOS apps that, regarded innocuous, however, had been particularly designed to secretly scrape social media. Interesting. Wow. Okay. I mean, cool that they're that somebody's doing this. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, and yeah.
So I think if there had to be a life lesson, if we had to package this in a nice little box and ship it off to whomever, people can change, but you just have to you have to give them the room to change.
I agree.
So over the past couple of weeks, we've heard these rumors that Microsoft is in talks to buy the U.S. assets of TikTok. And as of most recently, over this latest weekend, apparently Twitter is looking to buy those same assets. So right now it's kind of a bidding war, if it even is getting to that part, but it's kind of a bidding war between Microsoft and Twitter to buy TikTok. Discuss.
Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. My first reaction is I don't care.
Okay. No, that is a completely valid reaction. I feel like there, there is a dichotomy between the people that have heard this news, because I've brought it up in a number of times in my streams. I've brought it up in other people's streams that have a large audience to see what the chat room is talking about. Here on Twitch, twitch.tv/LazyTechTony and Firewall. You can check us out. But with this particular topic, most people I've come across don't care. As long as TikTok continues to be TikTok, and people that actually use it will continue to use it the same way they've been using it. They don't care. And for people like you and I who don't use it whatsoever, we don't necessarily see the immediate negative or positive ramifications of an acquisition of this caliber. But I was wondering from your point of view. I mean, TikTok, arguably one of the fastest growing social media in the world, bar none. I mean, it's taken over so many eyes to the point that there are some people that will go to TikTok to watch videos and stay on there way longer than they would stay on like YouTube or like Instagram videos or like Instagram stories or Snapchat for that matter.
Right. Well, I think it makes sense. Like, people have short attention spans, and that like the whole website is built on, hey, short attention span. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense why people like love it. But as for whoever acquires it, like, I hope they manage it better. I've heard like for the creative scene in there, they're not very helpful. So hopefully that gets better. Well, but other than that, like, just kind of like, okay, well, good luck.
Some of the companies that Microsoft have acquired that are very public facing, one would be, okay, maybe not public facing, but are like fairly well known. One would be GitHub. GitHub has continued to be a wonderful like code repository for open source code and for people to collaborate on projects with. So a lot of people were concerned about that acquisition. Seems to have panned out well. Right. I don't know if they're making any money. And the other acquisition that Microsoft made was LinkedIn, and that hasn't really been going anywhere. Like that, like there's been some LinkedIn hooks into Microsoft 365, which is cool, especially for like resumes and things of that nature. But again, not like any kind of major overhaul, which for some people might be good, but at the same time, it doesn't really, they haven't really pushed the envelope to make LinkedIn, the platform, any better than it was 5 years ago. Although I have stopped getting a crap ton of LinkedIn emails, so that's nice. Maybe that was Microsoft doing that.
You gotta calm down.
Right. But then the other big okay, maybe not big. The other acquisition that comes to mind was Beam. We bought Beam, or rather Microsoft bought Beam. And then it turned into Mixer. Then that happened.
And then it shut down.
Then it shut down. Yeah. So there's a little bit of concern that okay, I'm kind of elephant in the room. Nokia, they bought Nokia for how much? 16 billion or 6 billion? It was something billion. It was a lot. Yeah, it was very many billion, more than I can count if I were to actually count from 1 to that number. And they had to write it off. Now, arguably, maybe that particular asset wasn't a good asset to buy. And if we were to correlate how successful Nokia was at the time versus how successful TikTok is right now, one might argue, well, TikTok's a lot more successful because whereas Nokia, you're trying to sell a phone with a particular operating system. TikTok is on every operating system. Yeah, you just get on it, and it's more about creativity and it's more about what social media is about. And it reaches far and wide a lot more people. But I just something that comes to my mind is the fact that I don't know how well Microsoft can manage, if they're going to manage anything when it comes, if they were to actually buy TikTok. Like, they might make it completely autonomous, but then is the point in buying them only to have them to be a U.S. asset? Is that the only reason? Then at that point, they're doing the bidding of the U.S. government. Which I don't know if you heard. The Donald Trump said if you buy it to Microsoft, if you buy it, then you need to give a certain amount to the U.S. Treasury.
Oh,
did you hear about that?
No, I mean taxes. He's not talking taxes.
He's not talking taxes. No.
Oh, what more could you ask for? It was
kind of like a quote unquote finder. Like I'm going to call it a finder's fee. That's not the legal term, obviously. But the way that he poised it was this is kind of like a finder's fee because we, the U.S. government, are in a way helping facilitate the communique between ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, and Microsoft.
Don't love that.
I don't love it either. No,
no, that's weird.
It is very weird. It's like, you haven't paid. It'd be awful terrible if something happened to the acquisition that you wanted to go through. It's like, what is this, like mob mentality kind of crap?
No, that's super weird. That's a thumbs down from this guy.
Yeah. But then the other company that was announced in the news of late that was looking into buying TikTok was Twitter. And this would be weird because the what's it called? The evaluation of how much a company is worth. TikTok is worth more than Twitter. So
you're being mismanaged though. Like
right,
yeah,
but then
it's a really weird scenario. I'll give you that, but it's a very weird scenario. It's just sometimes stuff like that happens, you know.
Sure, but then like if somehow ByteDance and Twitter say, okay, we will let you buy the U.S. assets or whatever assets, they're not, whatever assets that you want to buy, we're gonna let you buy it. And Twitter's like, yay, we're going to buy it for $20 billion because that's kind of the number that's been circling the drain, between $20 to $50 billion. Twitter will be like, awesome. Hey, who can we borrow the money from? Let's get a grant from the U.S. government. Like, this is bad. This is a very bad idea.
I think you should reconsider.
Yeah. Or maybe I don't know, because I've only seen this happen in... I've only seen this happen in with that Shark Tank, where two sharks will invest together. Maybe Microsoft and Twitter can join forces and buy TikTok together. Is that a thing? Can they, in like an actual business thing? Could they do that? Do you think? I don't know.
You want to talk about weird scenarios?
So they're going to partner together, and they're going to invest together, but they're not going to merge together. Oh, what if we bought TikTok and then we worked? If Microsoft were to buy TikTok in partnership with Twitter, and then down the line, Microsoft acquired Twitter, so they would have Twitter and TikTok.
Oh my!
Right? Weird. That is weird.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know how to process that.
So you mentioned earlier that you're up at Snowbird.
Yeah, yearly trip up to Snowbird.
I thought it was later in the year that you do this trip.
It is later in the year. Congratulations.
No, I mean
it's August.
Okay. Thanks, jackass. But I mean, like later, like closer to October, November, maybe.
No. It's always like second week of August usually.
Okay. All right. So
they go by like weeks in the year. I don't know. It's like the 32nd week or something like that we come up, and yeah, it's always like the second week of August.
What are you doing up there?
Right now, just hanging out. Like with everything going on with COVID and everything, we're not too worried about doing any of the major activities that we'd regularly do.
Okay.
So, like honestly, one of the things that I've been looking forward to the most has been being able to have a giant window here with the great outdoors and the mountains and stuff right there, and being able to play games, like just chill and have the windows open and enjoy the fresh air. I mean, we're going to probably go hiking and do all that kind of stuff, but for now, this is nice.
Okay. So it's your annual trip. I've been hearing about this for the past few years. Kind of jealous that your family has something like this. My family does not, but I believe like Aurelia's family does every so often. So I'm excited to be a part of that. So I'll be on the same. I'll be on the same level as you. I like that you're sporting your Snowbird shirt since 1919. Nice.
1979.
Oh, I was surprised.
Just a bad angle.
I didn't know Vans. I didn't know Vans was that old. Okay, so that is 1979. For those watching the video, not 1919. It does not predate World War II and had nothing to do with World War I. Nothing to do with that at all.
Nope, not at all.
But You said that you guys feel fairly confident, even with COVID and everything, that you guys are fairly confident with the people that are around you. What about other people? Like, what is the mandate at a place like Snowbird with masks and social distancing, things of that nature?
They're requiring masks in all like social areas, limiting like pool usage. I don't know the full lowdown on that. Yeah, and then like a lot of it's outdoorsy stuff, like hiking and stuff. So you're usually distanced anyway when you're hiking.
Sure.
Shouldn't be an issue there. They do usually have like activities that you can go do, and I'm not sure what their current status is. I'm not too concerned about them, honestly. Like if I miss out going on the mountain coaster, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. Like, yeah, the mountain coaster's fun, but also staying safe is fun. And also, a lot of people are immune because there was a little bit of an outbreak in the family, and yeah, don't have to. So a lot of people are, immune, and between ourselves, like we don't have to really worry about that.
I want to be very careful about how we say that though. Because this is such a new thing. There's no definitive answer if there is complete immunity right now.
Well, right. No, we're still being careful, like especially for people like elderly. We're not going to be messing around, and like we're still going to wear masks and stuff.
Right.
But we like when it comes to like my in-laws, like I'm pretty sure we got it at the same time from the same source. So we should be at least immune for a couple months from each other. And yes, I fully know that we can still be carriers and like that. That's not the conversation. But like we can be around each other is what I'm saying.
Now, the folks that did come in contact with COVID, are they with you now, and how are they?
Some of them, and everyone's fully recovered. Everyone's doing good and feeling better, and
well, we're
not sick.
We're kind of bearing the lead here. You got tested and you came out positive.
I got COVID. I should not say it that excited, but
let's tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, I did come back positive, and for the last 2 weeks, roughly, somewhere around there, 10 days, I have been home alone and watching the cat and dealing with COVID. Now, as soon as I found out I was positive, sent the wife away. She stayed at a friend's place, and okay. I've been home alone for.
So you were completely quarantined. Like even Maddie didn't come sleep in the other room. Like she just went over to our mutual friend's house, and you were literally home alone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I had 10 days of being a bachelor.
It's a little disconcerting that you sound like so happy about that, but that's a different topic. How did this happen exactly? Like, do you know?
We went on a family trip a few weeks ago with, again, just family, and we're pretty sure someone had it that came, and we're pretty sure who that is. But it's very unfortunate. But
is this the trip, the beach trip, where the guy came and had?
No. That was in July.
Okay, no. I figured it was a different one, but I just, for people that may be following along and don't have a concept of time like me, just make sure, like, those are two separate events. They're not, in this instance, they're not related.
Right. No. I got tested in July, came back negative. That issue was resolved quite quickly, whereas this one, I honestly thought it was really funny. I just I was talking to our mutual manager, and like the day before, like when I got tested, I was like, "Hey, I got tested. I'll let you know." He's like, "Cool, keep me updated." And then the morning I got my test results, I just said to him, I was like, "Well, crap," and just with a screenshot. And he's like, "Oh no."
Well, this just happened.
Yeah.
What do I do from here?
This is a concern.
Yeah. Well, I take it you're better? Like you're...
Oh, yeah. No, I'm feeling great. Seem to have passed with no, like, severe symptoms. I'll tell you, the worst part, though, was the tired. Like, the amount of, like, fatigue that you got was unbearable. Like, I would get up after sleeping for 8 hours. Like, I would get up, feed the cat, lay back down on the couch, turn on The Office, and fall back asleep for another 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was a substantial, like, people, think maybe, oh, you got to spend the week, playing games and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I probably played games during like nighttime, but like, that's because I got up at 8 p.m. and made dinner and played a couple games and then went back to bed after sleeping for like 14 hours.
I was going to say, like, your sleep schedule must have been completely off its rockers.
Oh my gosh. I had to. So honestly, yesterday, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I had a rough night's sleep, and I said, you know what? I'm going to use this to reset my sleep schedule. Because like I can't sleep. I've got, too much on my mind. So, like I powered through and just stayed awake the entire day, and reset my schedules. Cause like I was like a cat. I was like, before that, during everything, like I was like awake at 5 a.m. Like, no, I'm wide awake, and I'll probably go to bed in like 2 hours when it's 7 a.m. and then I'll sleep for a while and wake up at 9 and get dinner and then sleep again and then wake up at 2. Like my schedule was just gone. And so I think I've reset it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight.
Well, the one thing that was really interesting to me was when you first let me know that this was a possibility of this happening, your outlook was somewhat positive. Like most people, when they hear they have COVID, I feel like they see it as a death sentence. But for you were like, hey, like, if I have COVID, I will do the things I need to do to protect my family, like you did. Maddie didn't live with you at all for the last 2 weeks. All that stuff. But, in addition to your sleepiness, little, dizziness here and there, I know you said at one point that it was tough for you to breathe easily, but obviously you're alive and well now. But right. Overall, your outlook was very positive, and we're still seeing the COVID death toll like rising, like in many states. So I
I think it's very clear. Neither one of us are doctors, but is that with your understanding of how COVID works? Is that due to a poor immune system or something else? Like, did you take anything?
Let me phrase this a different way. The reason why I try to maintain that, like, you know, I want to maintain a positive outlook is plain and simple. I want to maintain, like, hey, here's how this is going to be okay. Like, hey, I have a sickness that is going around that is pretty deadly and doing some nasty things to people. But you know what? Free vacation. I get to stay home and rest and watch The Office and play games at my leisure and eat, like, I don't have to eat out or anything or pack a lunch. I get to eat at home. Like just trying to find the positive and like trying to spin it in my head so I can stay positive. Like,
sure.
Honestly, that's what it is just like saying to myself, like, you know what? Here's why this doesn't suck.
So in your mind, were you, I don't know, were you
concerned
at all? Like, were you using
the only time I got concerned is when there was a couple days where I was like hacking up a lung at night.
Oh.
And that's the one time I was like, this is a bad sign.
Yeah.
And like I could hear myself breathing, like there was like a raspiness to it, and I was like, I don't love this. And so for a couple days I'm like just monitoring it very closely, just, you know, making sure like, okay, is this worsening? Is it just maintaining? Luckily it maintained for a couple days and then went away. But that's the only time I really like got concerned. Other than that, it was just monitoring symptoms, and I'd much rather have a cold than that. That, you know, people say it's akin to a cold, but it's one of the worst colds I've ever had.
Or you mean the flu? Yeah.
Or the flu, whichever.
Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, I'd rather have the real deal than COVID, because that was the worst one I've ever had for sure.
I think it's suffice to say, we're all very happy that you're much better. There was a moment when, you know, for a couple of days when you told me, I was like, I don't know how to feel. You know, I went through a roller coaster of emotions because I like you. I'm like, you know what? He's gonna kick it. It's fine. He's gonna not kick the bucket, but he's gonna kick the COVID. It's gonna kick the COVID, and it's gonna leave his body, or it's going to dissipate, whatever the term is, and he's gonna be fine. And then I took a breath. But what if he's not? And that's the worst. That's one of the worst feelings, where it's like you're helpless. You know, I can't imagine how your wife felt, but at least for me, someone that's thousands of miles away from you, I can't do anything. And even if I could do something, I couldn't do anything, right? It's not like, here's some chicken soup. No, that's not going to help. Like, you know, and like I was at a loss, and I found myself having to distract myself from thinking about it too hard. And for people that have had someone pass away due to this virus, I sympathize with you. I empathize with you, and I you know, wish you well, and my condolences to you and your family. You know, because if something did actually happen to you, I would be torn. And so I'm very happy that, and I honestly, it might sound a little cringy, but I really do think that the positive outlook that you imposed on it really did help. You know, you were fighting it, and you were, you know, literally saying to yourself, I'm going to live another day, and I'm going to fight another raid. I mean, this is what I'm doing. And I'm going to get through it. And I wish it was that easy for everybody else. Obviously, it's not, because, you know, immune systems and other aspects of their lives might make it a little bit more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, at least for us, I can confidently say that I'm happy to have a friend who who beat COVID. So I do hope I do hope that you are immune to this and any other like strain, and that's the concern though, right? Like one of the concerns is COVID can mutate like the flu does every year, right. And you'll get it again, and you'll have to do this all over again.
No, the last report that I had heard about, let's put it that way, is the immunity lasts around 6 months. Again, this is not like anything confirmed or anything. I'm not a doctor,
it's
but
it's not in a medical journal or anything.
I'm not sure where the information came from, but last I heard it was about 6 months of immunity from at least the strain that you got.
Okay.
So I should be good for a little bit for
okay.
the strain that's in Utah, but we'll see. It definitely, as far as I understand, it's not the strain that was it or is currently wreaking havoc in New York. We have some lesser version which can kick your butt but isn't doing the damage that it's doing over there.
Well, New York got a ton better. They went from like being one of the worst cities to have the outbreak to one of the best, if not the best city to contain the outbreak. Their numbers relative to how it was back in March are so much lower, and it's still quite surprising because I do have friends in New York, and they would tell me there's still about 30% of people that won't wear a mask. They won't social distance. And if you've ever been to New York or Manhattan, there's really no place to social distance if you're walking. Like you'd have to find it through alleyways and backways and the sewer system to be able to get away from people. It's a very crowded city. And so,
right.
and so it's still it is very surprising that they've been able to contain it. But now that we're back into the time in which people are supposed to get back to school, some schools are reconvening, some schools are not. I know my son, my daughter, my Aurelia's son, Nicholas. They're all doing distance learning, which in my opinion, I think is a good decision for right now. It's not the
What's
optimum.
distance learning?
Distance learning is basically like learning from home. So
it's just school school online.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, so like they did that. They called it distance learning back in March, right? And what they would do is they would essentially send out all the homework for the kids on the Monday, and a note saying, do it. And most kids would just get it out of the way right from the get-go. And it was a lot of busy work. It was a ton of busy work. It was like, fill out this form. Like, oh, well, that's easy. Like, what do you think about this passage? Tell us in 3 sentences. 3 sentences! Are you kidding me? Like, how are you supposed to come up with any kind of creative thought about a historical document in 3 sentences? God, it blew my mind. But now
it was cool.
Yes,
I loved it.
If you're in
Abraham has a great beard.
If you're in 6th grade, that's your answer, right? Because you want to get it over and done with so you can get back to doing the other things that you want to do while you're at home. I fault no middle schooler or even a high schooler for having that mentality because you're being pressed into it and you're getting busy work done. So when the concept of distance learning was going to be reintroduced for this year, a lot of us were like, well, we don't want that. We don't want that. So Aurelia and I both looked into homeschooling and what that would entail, and apparently it entails quite a bit.
Oh, jeez.
Well, because we would have to create the curriculum, or we can pay another company to create the curriculum, but not all companies are accredited. So it's all that kind of balancing act and everything. But at least for Nicholas's school, what they are doing is essentially block schedules. So it's not a full school day. It starts around 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning till 1. So it's not a full day.
and they're basically in Zoom meetings, and they have to keep the webcam on, but it's a much more structured kind of interaction between you and the other students and the other teachers.
Interesting.
So I'm much more of a fan of that versus what it was before, which was very much like, when you do online schooling, which is, hey, you do this, you're all on your own, you figure it out. And if you have questions, I have office hours, but they're not optional. And I hated that. And as someone who went to a very robust middle school and high school in terms of its educational focus, I really felt like the school system was failing the kids. Just said, like the last half of whatever grade that they had last year doesn't count. It doesn't count. It really doesn't count. And not to say that they don't deserve to graduate, but in terms of their educational, intake, it doesn't matter. And
Oof.
and it sucks. So now that the teachers kind of have they have had a not a warning, but they've had enough time to figure out how to properly structure at a distance learning. I'm very happy to hear that more and more schools are doing something like that versus something like we did back in March.
Right. No, the thing I thought was interesting was, did you see? It was in the news. It was
Georgia.
This kid that tweeted a photo
Georgia
of inside the school, and it's like it looks like a regular packed high school, and they suspended him for posting the photo, and it's like, what?
Okay, so I actually have an update on that. So there were it's a high school in Georgia, and masks were not mandatory. But the rest of your dress code is. So, but masks are not mandatory. And yeah, there was no way to social distance because if you saw the photo, I'll put the photo up right here. But yeah, that's the photo. There was no place for any kid to safely traverse the hallways. And this young girl and a few others posted things of this being concerned. They posted it online, and yes, they were suspended. Because of the media outcry of that, and the fact that CNN took the extra step and actually interviewed the girl as to why she posted this, the school district rescinded the suspension. So they're not suspended anymore.
That's good.
But there was also the superintendent, before they rescinded the suspension, the superintendent did say, hey, if you don't come to school because you're worried about COVID and this and that and the other, and you didn't sign up for distance learning, you can be suspended or expelled for not coming to school. B, if you post anything like this, you can be suspended. But the school itself got 9 cases, at least 9 cases. So as of Monday, they completely closed down the school. So Monday and today, they are 100% distance learning, and they're trying to figure out if they should reopen the school or not. And like I said, they rescinded any and all suspensions and expulsions. But it was like a police state when I heard that. It's like the suppression that is a direct suppression of media. Free speech. That is terrible. And like, what kind of example is the school district setting for their students? It's terrible. But at least they woke up and they realized, we can't. This is going to look bad. I mean, it already looks bad. We can't suspend these kids. We can't tell them not to post because and we can't look bad because it's just bad optics. So we'll try and look good. I don't feel like they apologized at all for bad judgment calls. If a company or somebody apologizes for a bad judgment call, I may not agree with the apology, but I will say at least you tried. the school district didn't apologize at all. There's like, okay, we're going to rescind it. Nobody else is going to get in trouble, and we're going to do distance learning. What about an apology? We said what we said. That's all we're saying.
You can take it or leave it. Well, I want to leave it.
Yeah. So if that's any indication of how going to school is going to be, then maybe not go to school. And I hear you. For people that are listening to this, like, no, I need to go to school because I have friends, or rather my son or daughter, they do not function well without their friends. They have been going bat crap crazy without their friends right by their side, doing it over, Discord or Xbox, whatever. It's not the same. I hear you. But would you rather have a son or daughter who are completely happy and possibly infected? Or would you rather try to adapt to the situation that we find ourselves in right now, try and get more creative to figure out how to make them happy even at a distance? There's got to be something. And maybe we cannot have our cake and eat it. Maybe we can't. But for the greater good, for me, for you, I am not going to send my kids to school because of the fear of what they could be bringing back to us and what then I could bring to my dad.
Right, the ripple effects.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. Like there's such a there is a case of the ripple effect being a real thing, and people are like, oh, it's not going to affect me. Screw you then. What about your grandma? What about your mom? Or what about the nice little old lady that hands you the mail when you forget to pick it up in the morning? What about them? I mean, I know you don't have kids, obviously, unless you and Maddie are keeping a secret in your basement. But
nope.
It's
a hard no.
I mean, you were appalled about the suspension with the kid in Georgia, but I mean, what are your initial thoughts of staying home and not getting the exact same education that they would get if they were in school? Do you think that they should have some sort of safe hybrid kind of schooling where they go every other day and it's half the student body, or what comes to mind for you?
Oh, really? I really don't know. I'm not educated on this subject at all. I mean, the idea of a hybrid is kind of interesting. I know some schools in Utah are doing that, where they're sending people to school on a 5-week rotation or something like that, or 3-week rotation. So that way you're 2 weeks home, 1 week in school. Which is the quarantine period. So basically you get quarantined for 2 weeks and then back in school and then quarantined for 2 weeks, and doing that. That's kind of interesting. But again, it's hard with the masks and stuff, and asking how many people can fit into a classroom. And yeah, that's
honestly, no, seriously, that's actually a good point. I never considered there's a lot of overcrowded classrooms. So even if you did cut the classroom itself in half, would you have a full class versus an overflowing class? A full class is still not 6 feet. You would still in my mind, the best thing that you would do is stagger the desks, right? You would have
right.
Quinnton sits in the front, no one sits behind you, and then I sit in the third desk, no one sits behind me. Next to me, there's nobody, but there is somebody to the left of me, but not to the left of you. It almost, we're taking away, in this mental hypothetical, we're taking away a fair few amount of desks to make this work. So it's not, logistically speaking, it's not favorable. The only way that you could possibly do it easily would be in a large room, aka the cafeteria or the gymnasium, the theater, and that's only 3 rooms. I'm maybe your music room, the band room or something might work. because there's enough space depending on your facilities and things of that nature. Maybe doing it outside. That'd be kind of cool.
Right.
We're obviously not.
It's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to think about. We're obviously not going to come up with any kind of solution here, but we'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. Let us know either in the comment section down below here on the YouTubes.
Obviously, we just need to invent the Matrix style, like injecting the information into your brain.
Well,
and just be done with it.
Well, first we have to come up with the information to inject. So again, see, we can't figure it out right now. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you'd like to watch live, we're on Twitch. Right now, it's twitch.tv/LazyTechTony, but in the future, hopefully in the near future, we will have a still recording Twitch account for you to watch. In the meantime, Quinnton, where can people find you in the digital intersphere?
On Instagram, Twitch, and Xbox at Firewall.
You can find me at those places under Lazy Tech Tony. We should have another episode going off in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for watching live. Thank you so much for listening and finding us on YouTube as well. And if you want to communicate to both of us, we are on Instagram under Still Recording Podcast. You guys take care of yourselves. Be good to yourself and each other. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Heart